All right. All right, still still doing the thing. All right, so now that I've done the arms, I'll go ahead and pop down to the leg. From here, it's really not all that much left, honestly. You'd think with all this body left that there would be more, but nope, not a whole lot left. So I'm just gonna do this. Pretty sure that's perfect, so I'll just hit G. Do my next one. Gotta find a good place for my camera there. That looks good. Be careful when selecting from the outside that you don't select the other foot. Hit G. I'll go ahead and do the other side, may as well. Ah. I'm gonna deselect that. G. Again, with the lower part of the leg, we're gonna do only up to the third joint right there. G on that. Go ahead and do the same on the other side. Fine. Up to the hip. Control Shift, click, double click. It's doing bad things. Let me deselect that. Nice clean edge loop there. Hit G. Same for the other side. Looks good. Pelvis, easy enough. Just do that all the way up to right about there. Give him a little diaper. And just do basically one per joint. That'll do. Doesn't have to be one per joint. Like this piece, I could probably but I will. This can be a separate little, I don't know, mini sweater type of thing. And the last one up here on the head. And then the head, if you want to separate out the jaw, you can like separate this whole section, the bottom of the mouth or something like that. If you want to do that, that's up to you. But technically, when we're dealing with the head rotation, it's going to be the entire head, right? So the difference between this head and the skinned head is that the skinned head is going to have facial expressions and stuff like that, and this will not. So once we have all that done, look at all the extra transforms that are left, and we have all this geometry that is individually separated out. Every time you do an extraction like this, it takes the actual geometry out of the transform node and creates a whole new piece of geometry. So I have all this history left on these objects that I need to get rid of. So I'm going to hide my joints, right? So I can select all the geometry except for the eyes, because we didn't do the eyes, right? I'm going to select all this proxy geometry, and I need to delete the history. Don't forget to do this. Okay, so edit, delete by type history on all of this proxy geometry. I'm also going to Shift P to unparent it and Control G to group it. And I'm going to call this my proxy group. Okay, I don't have to worry about naming all these. Like, you can if you want to, but you know, it's not really all that important. And I'm going to take my original proxy transform nodes and just delete it, right? So now I have my proxy group here, and all I have left to do is do what I did to the thumb, which is reposition the axes on these. Okay, so I'm going to show my geometry again, and I'm just going to hit the right arrow on my keyboard. The right arrow will select my next piece of geometry within the group. So I can hit right and left to, it's called pick walking. I think I said this before. You can pick walk through your geometry here. Okay. So or you can just click it. I don't care, whatever. And I'm actually going to hide, just for the sake of making this easier to deal with. I'm going to turn off the showing of my polygons, just so that I can deal with this without having to worry about the polygon itself getting in the way. So I'm going to hit my right arrow, hold down DV, click and drag that up to there. Actually, you know what? I do need to see it because I need to know which piece I have selected. I'm going to go back to show my polygons again. And see, I did it on the wrong one. So, hey, what's up, man? I'll redo this to here. So I just need to make sure it's actually on the joint and not the geometry. So there's that. I'm trying to think how I can make this. I guess I could template it, but it's not on a layer, so I would need to select the geometry and add it to the layer, and I'm just going to template that. That'll make it easier. Hopefully it'll show me what's selected. Yes, it will. Okay, cool. All right, so right arrow, that one's done. Right arrow, there's that piece, DV. There we go. Or I might be able to just like middle click and drag. That'll do it also. Yep. Yeah, I'm just using middle click and drag. Do it, hold down DV. Huh. Get up there. I don't know why it's not happening. Here we go. The downside of this is that this geometry naming is a little bit off. What is going on here? Come on. That. I'll hit F to focus rather than try and search for it. So there's using the middle click and drag. That. F to focus. There it is. Yeah, this is the way to do it. So even though it's a little tedious, it doesn't really take. It's not all that difficult. It just takes time, and that's how it is for most of this stuff, honestly. Come on. Come on. There we go. Again, just hitting F, hold down DV, E as in David, V as in vector, and middle click and drag. This one, just go to the base of the head joint. Come on. There it is. This one's going to go to the cog joint, just like that. Almost done. neck. Like that. This can also go to the, this will actually go to the hip connect joint because it'll swivel. Like that. Two more. Okay. So now that I have all that done, the last thing I want to do for this proxy is I need to, according to the assignment sheet, it says right there, it says right there, where is it? Parent constraint. We're going to parent constrain each piece to their respective joint. So, unreference that. And again, this is going to be very quick. When you're dealing with constraints, as I said before, you select the controlling object and then what's being controlled. So the joint is controlling the piece of geometry. So you select the joint, shift select the geometry, and with constraints, we're going to do a parent constraint. Constrain parent, I'm going to maintain offset, make sure it's on all axes. If I click add, joint, geometry, G, joint, geometry, G, all the way down the line. This literally takes like just a couple of minutes. Again, doing it from the outside in gives you an easy way to just keep track of where you are, right? Because there's a lot of pieces, but if you know you did it in a certain direction, then did I do the thumb? Yes, I did. Then you know where you are, right? I'm at this point of the arm. For this, like that. Here for the shoulder. And I'll go to the other side and do this side. Click, shift, click, hit G. Over and over again. And I'll do the legs. This piece is going to go to the cog, like I said, or actually the hip connect. All right, so there's that. The cog goes to that piece. That's it. So now always test even your proxy. I don't want to have to redo that again, so I'm going to save as. This is going to be version 12. Always check your proxy. Make sure you didn't leave any floating pieces of geometry behind. Rotate on Z, other than the eyeballs, of course. And this is what the proxy looks like. When the animator animates this, it's going to look like a bunch of, you know, sliced pieces of sliced Rodney. You know, there's how that's going to work. There's rotate Z on the leg. Check both sides in this case, you know, because this is a matter of, is the geometry following or not, right? We only need to check the third, you know, the third elbow joint. We don't need to check each piece. And we can do all the fingers together, just holding down shift click, just like that. Rotate on Z. That's what that looks like. I don't know if I did the wrist or not. Again, check both sides. We don't need to select the final joint on the fingers. There we go. And I don't remember if I checked the arm yet or not, but there's that. That's fine. Check the neck and the head. There you go. So that's our proxy. The proxy works. Every single piece of proxy geometry should have a little plus beside it, showing that it has a parent constraint attached to it, right? You don't have to open up every single one to know for sure, because if it doesn't have a plus, it doesn't have a constraint, right? So this is all the proxy stuff. Once we're done, we can, I'm going to put this into our geo group because it is geometry. Our proxy group will be in our geo group. And we can hide the proxy group and bring back our Rodney body. If you want to have a proxy layer, that's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. So now, just to make some adjustments to our weighting on our character. I'm going to start on the head. And again, when we're dealing with painting our weights, this is under skin, down towards, well, actually right here. Under weight maps, paint skin weights, and again, you want to have your options box open. And in this case, I'm going to be, I want to pose my neck. I'm going to hide these because that's going to be disturbing.
That makes it better.
Yeah, right. It is Halloween almost, so, you know.
He already looks disturbing.
Little eyeless character. And I'm just going to rotate that out. Oh. Yeah, right. Somebody should make an image
Position his
game
mouth
type of
just,
thing.
If you position his mouth just right, you can just copy and paste one of the eye model, put it in his mouth.
Yeah, right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to deal with this. Again, this isn't going to be a whole lot of work, but it's still a little bit of a pain. I'm just going to bring this down, and I want to select the joint that I want to work with, right? So I'm going to right click, select influence, and you can see how far this jaw joint is actually going, right? It's going behind the head and stuff like that. But I think for the most part, really what I want to deal with is kind of just like smooth this out right in here. And smooth that out in there. And again, I'm just holding down Shift to do my smoothing. It's still breaking through. Let me see. I want to do more. I'm going to add a small value, 0.05, to the exterior. Get that out of there a little bit. And then I'll smooth this down a little bit. And honestly, I'm okay with how this is being affected. I'm just going to smooth this out a little bit back here. Again, just holding down Shift. I really like going from green straight to black, so I'm just going to blend that a little bit. The base jaw joint, again, I'm just going to smooth that. Smooth down here. Like we're losing that vertex there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that vertex and hammer it. Find the right one. It's this one right there. So again, as I've done before, I'm going to go to skin, hammer skin weights with that one vertex selected, and that's going to average that out. I'm going to do the same for this one now that that one's done. I'm going to hit G, G. I'm going to do these two, G, G. G. That's pretty good. I'm going to do this one. Ooh. No. Not quite so much. Maybe this one. Pull that down a little bit.
It just looks like a screaming like man in one of those really creepy paintings.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that his T-pose makes him look like he's crucified.
Yeah. All right. So now that I've done that, let me go back to object mode. I'm just going to like make sure that I didn't create a problem. It looks like I did. So I want to fix that. Oh, I didn't want to hit G on that. Go back to my weighting here. See if I can do this, fix this from the inside. Wherever I start my brush is what it's going to affect. If I start it here, it's going to affect the outside geometry. If I start it here, it's going to affect only the inside geometry. So This one vertex, it seems to really be stubborn here. There we go. Again, holding down Shift to do a lot of smoothing. Wow. Well, technically, let me rotate this back to 0. Okay, I think that'll do. It's a little bit chunky right there at the neck, so I should probably smooth that out. But for what I'm doing here, let me zero this back out. And again, I'm only rotating at the base jaw joint, right? I'm not rotating this joint. I'm not rotating that because that really has no effect whatsoever. But this, like, this is not what I'm going to be rotating when I animate the character. I'm going to be rotating this joint right here. So this is where all of the movement should come from, right? Okay. That doesn't mean that you don't wait to these other joints. You can. But when you're testing and setting your pose, you want to do it on what's going to be moved, right? So I'm going to pull this around and just double check around the neck. That looks fine. I'm going to check the neck itself. That should be fine. I have a slight bit of pulling in the chest, but not enough to be concerned about.
A little problem that if you flick his head, the neck will break.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to the body and the pelvis, you want to have your clothes visible, not the hair. You don't need the hair. But here, like I showed before, if I pull this up, I have clothing issues, right? So I'm going to select the weighting on that. And this could be the clothes and it could be the skin. So it's just a matter of, you know, going back and forth and testing it. So I'm just going to pull that up, select my influence on this. Technically, the shoulder shouldn't have as much influence. So I'm just going to select that influence there. The clavicle. I think I'll add to it a little bit. And then I'll do a negative on the shoulder joint to take it away. And if you want to hide the shirt for this process, you can while I'm working that individual stuff. But then I want to go back in and do the same for the shirt and make sure that it's appropriately being affected. So for the clavicle, I'm going to add to it. Oh, I have it. No wonder. I still have it set to negative. Let me go back. Like, why is it going away? Add to it. Add to it. There we go. Again, you can add to it, but make sure you smooth it so it looks right. And down here, I'm going to select the sternum, add influence on the sternum for both the shirt and the skin itself. Because I want the sternum to hold that part of the body in place a little bit. And then do the same thing here. I have the sternum selected. Yeah, no, I did not. I feel like I screwed up. No, that's right. I had that right. Yo. Hello. Oh, that's the shorts. Selected the wrong thing. There we go. There we go. And again, when you're doing this, actually I have a little bit here that's going on, so let me deal with that real quick. Technically, for the shoulder should have 100% control over this part of the sleeve. So it won't take much to, add that in. And check the other joints to make sure that they don't have that control. So let me go back to the shoulder. I'll just add that in. I'm just going to do this. Since this is basically a tube, I'm just going to make a perfect circle of influence here. and then smooth that out. And then I'm going to select the geometry, the skin geometry, and do the same. I'm just going to hide the shirt temporarily. And, you know, you want to check it both up and down. This is going to be for spine 5. Yeah. Ooh, oops. So it looks pretty good. And you also want to check it front and back, right? Because there's going to be other issues, right? So I'm not going to go through, like we only have 4 minutes left. But again, you know, you want to go through and check all the bits, make sure everything's good. I would definitely smooth this out so that it's not as affected by the hip. Technically, actually, this joint is only going to be as a kind of a skinning holder. When it comes to how we're going to move the leg, it's only going to be at the actual hip joint, not the top of the hip joint, right? So we're going to have our control only here. We technically don't need to check that, right? For this joint, right? We can check it here. It's still going to show some adjustment, right? I would still want to smooth that out, but I don't have to check the rotation on this joint. I only need it on the top of the hip joint. And again, you want to check, in this case, all 3 knee joints. Make sure it's not pulling the pants. And I'll check here and make sure it's not lifting off the ground, right? Because that's a problem. But we're out of time. So I'll do more of this in the video. And I'm going to save as. This is version 13. And you'll have a great day. So yeah, today's assignment's actually due on Wednesday because of the video problems that we had. So